Hi, everyone. I'm trying to figure this out. Can you hear me okay? I've never done a live before. Not really. Hey! All right, we're here. Yeah? You can hear me okay? I'm hoping that the right mic is working, but I've got my mic and my headset, and the sound shouldn't be coming in on my headset. Oh, what am I making? That's a great question because I just decided this morning. I couldn't figure it out. I was like debating over a couple of things, but then I thought it's my first YouTube live, really, aside from the test that I did yesterday. And I wanted to do something wood turning related. So I figure, why not start where I started, I guess? So, all right, I'm excited. This is great. So I'm going to be, now should I start? I'm not going to start yet because it's not noon and I'm going to give some people a chance to actually get here. All right, now I need to make a couple people moderators. Right? Is that right? See, I don't know. Okay, hold on. Oh, look, I'm live. Now, oh, here we go. There's, oh, see, okay, Jamie and Carl, I think it looks like I already made you moderator, so we're good, I hope. Now, remind me to take that off later. Now, if you're a moderator, am I going to be able to hear you through StreamYard? Or do I have to keep myself and my own echo in my ear and confuse myself while I'm talking? Because it would be really cool if I didn't have to do that. Okay, what are you saying nope to? Can I close out of my YouTube and just keep it in? Oh, okay, so I don't need to hear you because that would be great. All I'm gonna do is look at the comments because I really don't want to hear myself echoing. That would be terrible. Okay, so it's 12:01. I like to be very timely, so we're gonna get started even though I'm already a minute late. I'm sorry. Okay, so all right, let's see here. I probably have way too much energy. And that is perfectly fine with me because it's generally how it works. All right, so thank you so much for joining. I am so excited to be here. I'm ready to turn. I had to schedule time to turn so that I can like work on the technique and the process and remember all the steps because I haven't turned this type of piece in about a year. But because, again, it's kind of my genesis sort of to wood turning, or it's at least one of them. It is the piece that inspired me to be a wood turner. Okay, and it does not have legs. All right, so when I was younger, when I was about 5 years old, and see, my mom didn't like this, but my dad was all for it. My dad had this rule: when we were tall enough to stand on the bucket and reach the lathe, he would teach us how to turn. So I was out in the shop, and before I was tall enough, I would just watch him. And I would be like, oh my God, this is so cool. And it was usually just spindles and normal things. And then all of a sudden, he took a piece and he turned it, and then he flipped it and he turned it again. And he made, and these are like relics, he made these little scoops. All right. So they're multi-axis scoops, and these are back in the day from the 90s when I was learning how to turn. And he said he thinks that at least one of these is mine from when I was like 5, 6 years old learning how to turn. So I'm really excited. He sent me these things. We're very sentimental in that way. And so scoops are one of the things that I really, really enjoyed. So as the years progressed and I went to college and I learned how to turn again, I started to get a little bit better. I started to basically obsess over it. And a couple of years ago, I made this one, which was like really kind of emotional for me because I was like, oh my God, this is like what really got me fascinated in wood turning. So I made this one. And I'm not trying to get you super excited about multi-axis turning today because we're going to actually be turning a different style of scoop. We're going to be turning a scoop more like this. So it's turned in 2 pieces and it's assembled. So I don't have to worry about anything with a propeller. So this is what we're going to be doing today. All right, are we ready? Are we excited? I'm excited. I'm happy. I haven't actually done any like demos in a while, like a couple months. So I'm really, really excited about it. Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera angle. And I'm going to apologize because when I put my face shield down, I'm going to sound like I'm in a tin can, but maybe it'll actually help you hear me a little bit. And I'm going to try to monitor the chat, but I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process. So you're going to start with 2 pieces of wood, and I already have both of them in the chucks, and I have them in separate chucks so you don't have to worry about it. They're both going to be spindle blanks. Let me change my camera angle again to number 1. All right, I broke this just now. I didn't even know these could break, but they did. So all my beautiful scoops, and I'm going to set that down. You can see my wood. So this is going to be the cup part of the scoop. And it's just a spindle blank. It's probably about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by maybe 3-ish inches. So I have that in my chuck and it's held pretty tightly in my jaws. And I'm just going to bring the tailstock up. And I like to use contrasting wood when I pick the scoop versus the handle. So the scoop part or the cup part is going to be walnut. And then I've got my other piece for the handle is going to be made from maple. Also, there are 2 reasons, not just the contrasting colors, that I like to do this. So the first one obviously is the colors and the contrast, although I could just dye the material to kind of suit my needs or my aesthetic preference. But what I rather do is keep the wood natural in most cases, unless I'm going to dye it black. I like dyeing a lot of things black. But then the other reason is because the walnut I have is a lot softer than the maple I have, because that spindle blank that I have over there for the handle is hard maple. And hard maple, if you've never tried, is kind of hard to make a tiny little scoop out of. I mean, the wood is very solid and it's wonderful, but I prefer not to use hard maple for the scoops just because it's a lot harder to hollow. The walnut, on the other hand, is really nice to hollow. And the maple is really nice to make a handle out of because it's extremely sturdy. Okay, so I am going to, let me see. Do you guys want 2 views? I mean, I'm not really going to get in the way of myself, but I can show you the tailstock view and the overhead view if that's not going to confuse anybody. Is that going to be okay? What do you guys think? All good? Yeah? Yeah, it was the excess energy that broke the clamp. And before we get started, I would just like to thank Carl Jacobson and Jamie Page for reaching out to me and asking if I wanted to do this. And of course I want to do this. So we're going to get started. And I think I asked a question and I don't remember what it was now. Oh, is it okay to have the 2 views? I'm just going to have it on there for now. But if it ends up being a distraction, just let me know. And I will maybe remember to do something about it. So right now it's all set up. Everything's locked down. I'm just going to make extra sure that it's super locked down though, because I don't want this thing coming out at me while I'm hollowing. You always want to make sure that you clamp it down on all sides and multiple times. And I'm going to take my roughing gouge, which I got as a freebie from Tim Wadley. And it says record something on it. I can't read the rest of it, and I don't really care to find out. But I know that it works, even though it's not the best quality. Like you could see the handle is actually cracking right there. I don't think that's from me, but it works, so it's good. I have no idea what the grind angle is. And again, I don't care. As long as it works, I will use it. All right, face shield down, and I am just going to rough this to round. Still got a couple flat spots. And I've still got a flat spot. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And I like that grain. We've got a lot of very lights and darks contrasting there. Oh, good. 2 views are great. Awesome. All right, let's move that out of the way because I'm basically done with my roughing gouge for now until I move on to the handle. So what we're going to do is let me move my face shield. I need enough room here to be able to get underneath the scoop. So I'm not going to make it super long. I'm going to kind of keep it sort of stubby, but I want enough material within the scoop that I can drill a hole and put the handle into it. So I've got a couple other examples here. And this is going to be really similar to the shape and size, and I think it's probably actually from the same piece of wood. So this is what we're going to be creating. It's just a shallow little scoop with a hole drilled in the side, and the order in which you do the steps is pretty important. So I'll show you. So right now, all I'm doing, it's trued up. Now I'm going to curve it under so that I can start the form so that I know how much I want to hollow, okay? I've got 3 other examples of scoops I'm going to show you at the end. All right, so I'm going to move my tool rest a little bit closer, check again, get started, and now I'm switching to my spindle gouge. So I've got my spindle gouge. Again, I have no idea what that angle is, and I usually take off the sharp corner of the heel just so that it doesn't get in the way. And if you're wondering, this is a Thompson spindle gouge made for me. Doug Thompson is awesome. Check him out. He's a huge supporter of the community. And I'm just going to clean this up a little bit because I roughed that out really quickly. And I'm essentially just going to start making a bead. So starting with the flute open, and I'm going to curve it over. And curve it over. And I just sharpened my tool, so this should be a pretty sharp, clean cut. I'm just going to clear this material from the other side so that it doesn't get in the way when I'm creating the deeper edge of that bead. Okay, and I don't want to come all the way down too far because I still want to have enough material so that the wood is supported while I'm hollowing. So this kind of like bead on one side, V-cut on the other side is perfectly fine by me. And I'm also okay if I end up making the bottom a little bit thicker than the rest of it. So I'm going to say that this is good for now, but as we, actually I'm going to come in a little bit, closing the top of that just slightly to give it a nicer form. So I'm going to say that this is good for now. So like I said, the step process is important when you're planning your scoop and the order of the processes. So now it's time, let me see if I can zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. One page in. How's that? Is that better? I hope so. You can probably see it a little bit better. I'm going to end up zooming in, or actually putting the other view first on the next step. But is that better? I hope so. All right, so the order is important. So the next thing that I'm going to do is drill the hole. And the reason you want to drill the hole early is because if you drill it at the end, there's a chance that your drill bit can skate across the material and ruin that finished surface. And there's also a possibility that it could blow out the inside of it and you just have lots of problems. So I'm going to drill before I hollow, and that's going to give me a cleaner hole for when I finally assemble these things, because the hole is really hard to hide. So I actually do this where the inside of the scoop, you can actually see the inside part of the handle, which I think is cute. And if you don't end up drilling beforehand, you might have a lot of torn and broken pieces right there. And I'm just going to give a shout out right now to Sally Alt. She's out of California. She is a female wood turner, and she's just incredible. And she's the one that I learned this specific scoop making process from. So what I'm going to do, Sally's amazing. You guys should look her up if you haven't already. She makes really interesting boxes. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the side that I want the scoop. And what I like are these rings on either side of the scoop. So I'm just going to drill right into this edge grain, not the face, but the side, not the end either. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. And I'm just doing a pilot hole right now. And I'm trying to aim it toward the center. Okay, so that's drilled. Remove that drill bit, put in my final drill bit. And I've sort of got it masked, but it doesn't always, I don't always follow that. Oh, see, here's a good way, or a good reason that I did that. So now I know, because when I was drilling, this little piece right here chipped out. So it's a good thing that I didn't finish the outside yet, because now all I have to do is just turn past that, which is really nice. So I'm going to take this back up, and I'm just going to turn just a little bit more of that away. And the hole usually doesn't really interfere with the turning. It's just like turning a void in a piece of rotten wood or something. So I'm going to turn that away. I can feel a little bit of fiber, but I could also just be feeling the, ooh, I like that shape better. Could also just be feeling the hole cross over my finger. So that's pretty good. I like that. That's in much better condition now. So I'm going to move on to hollowing. So I'm going to switch your view real quick. Give me a second, guys, so that I can make sure that everything is good. And just let me know, can you guys still hear me okay? Can you guys still see okay? Is the bigger view better? I hope. And again, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm really excited to do this. I love demonstrating. I've got a ton of different demonstrations that I do for clubs. And this is just one of them. So let me see. All right, we're going to switch the view so that you get the end view. I'm going to zoom in. Oh, no, get out of there. I'm going to zoom in on this so that you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to angle it down some. You guys can see my shop in the background. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Now, this should be okay. And now I'm going to bring in number 1 in the corner. Is that still okay? Let me zoom out just slightly. Oh, here we go. How's that? Is that good? I hope so. We'll say that that's good. I'm just going to pretend that I heard you guys, and it's definitely amazing. All right, I'm going to change over my tool rest. I'm going to get the tailstock out of the way because it's always in the way when I hollow. And I need to unscrew a bunch of stuff if I want to take it all the way off. And I'm going to use for a hollowing tool my Easy Wood Hollower number 1. It's just got a carbide cutter on it. I love this thing. It's my favorite tool for hollowing. I would recommend it to just about anybody. And I don't know, it's amazing. I'm going to get it so that the tool rests at about the center line. I like it at the center line or just above. I think that works really well. Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm going to turn the lathe back on. And now we are going to hollow, and I'm going to try to stay out of the way of the camera, but guys, no guarantees. And I'm just truing up the face. I could have done this with a bowl gouge earlier, or even my spindle gouge earlier, but I mean, the only part of the face that's actually going to exist later is this edge piece, so I can just do that with my scraper. So I'm just going to take small cuts, and I'm going to try to work with the edge. Let me restate that. I'm going to try to get the top edge of the scoop down to its almost finished thickness, because this thing is going to scream at you if you come back out after already hollowing the outside. So I'm going to try to work on getting it hollowed as much as I can close to the finished thickness. So you can see I'm starting to get out to that edge. I'm going to want to keep it about an 1/8 inch for the wall thickness all the way through until it comes close to the bottom, because I'd rather have a thicker bottom on these things than have a thinner bottom and have the thing break through when I part it off. So I'm just following those curves, and you kind of have to eyeball it and use your x-ray vision. I'm sure that everybody has, to sort of follow that curve all the way around to keep that consistent wall thickness. And if I screw it up, I have that extra. Yeah. All right, like I said, this thing is going to start screaming as it starts to get thinner and as the bottom gets thinner. But now that I'm closer, I can go a little bit slower and take lighter passes. I can see that the bottom is still a little thick, so I'm just going to remove a little bit more of that material, part it off, and then we can move on to the handle, because I really don't want to run out of time. I've never run out of time for a demo before. I don't want today to be the first day. Okay, did a nice finish pass, that last one. So actually, that's really nice. All right, so I'm going to call that good. I'm going to just touch it up with a little bit of sanding. And I think I already have my sandpaper ready to go. So I'm going to sand around the outside real quick. And this is Klingspor sandpaper. They're gold rolls. I like a lot. And then I'm going to sand a little bit on the inside, but I'm sure if any of you do pieces like this, you know that it's really difficult to sand in those interior areas without burning your fingers. So this is what I do. I have forceps, and I have some squishy sandpaper from Vince's Wooden Wonders, I think is what it is. So it's got this foam backing on it. I can just roll it up, pinch it in my forceps, and then go inside. I don't have to worry about it heating up my hand, and that squishy back sandpaper kind of conforms to the inside shape. So we're pretty good. All right, I'm going to call that good. Just again, so that we can move on to the next step. I really just want you guys getting the process, not a entirely perfect finished piece. All right, so I'm going to take my tool rest, move it back up to the material, because this is where I'm going to part it off. And I'm going to change the views again, because now you don't have to see the hollowing. Let me see. 1 is first. 2 is second. Let's make number 2 needs to calm down. Calm down. Make that smaller. All right, we're back. Okay, so back to turning on a spindle, and let's see, I lost my, how did I lose my bowl gouge? Spindle gouge. Okay, here it is. All right, so now I can start by clearing away more of this material. I can continue kind of turning that bead. I want to make sure that my flute is closed or almost closed while I'm turning this, so that I don't end up catching and skating across the material, but I am going to kind of clean this up a little bit. I think when I slipped, I sort of went into the bottom of my scoop. And this is another reason to keep the bottom thick. All right, so now that we're down to closer to a finished form, I'm going to change to my detail gouge. Now this thing is awesome. I love it. It's another one of the Thompson tools. And it allows me to get right up in there and remove that material down to an almost nothing point. Okay, see that? Wow. All right, before we completely part it off, because it's getting really close, I want to take the sandpaper again and sand around that bottom edge that is the newly exposed turned wood. That way I don't have to try to do all of this by hand sanding. And you can see I'm kind of supporting it with my hand. I'm trying not to push too hard because I could just break this thing right off, which of course has never happened before. How would I even know that that's possible? It's definitely possible, guys. I get a little bit reckless when I sand and I push way too hard, and I have broken more finials and little pieces like this off of the waste material than I would care to admit, but it's been a lot. All right, so that's sanded pretty well. Now I'm just going to take it, work my way back up again. And again, fully close so that you don't start to skate. And this should pop right off. There we go. Oh yeah, I did run into it a little bit. I can sand that later. Okay, so now we've got this awesome scoop. Look at that grain. Isn't that awesome? Ooh, okay. I'm going to switch this off and really quickly switch chucks. Now, I'm excited to use this chuck, and there's a reason why. It's because I just got it. Actually, I got it, but it feels like it was yesterday because I haven't had a chance to use it until yesterday, actually. So I'm going to remove that one. I'm going to switch it out for this beast of a chuck from Axminster. All right, yeah, seriously, this thing is a monster, a beautiful monster. And it's the SK114, SK114. I don't know how to say it. All right, I'm gonna get rid of my detail gouge for a little bit. I'm gonna put my hollower away so I don't drop it on my foot. And guys, be proud of me. I am wearing shoes today. That is not a common occurrence in my lathe room. And I know, it's dangerous. You're going to drop a tool on your foot, whatever. Okay. I grew up in the woods. I like to run around barefoot like a hippie child. But I'm not a hippie. Don't call me a hippie. Okay, I'm going to get this closer to this end. I'm going to change the angle so you can see the whole thing. Hopefully that worked okay. I think it did. All right, you guys should be good now, right? Hopefully, yeah, maybe. Possibly. All right, I got a little over a half hour. This is great. I might even have time to do some extra stuff. Well, I'll probably have time to talk some more and show you the other examples of the scoops that I have. Because I turned 3 different examples that I'm really excited about. All right, I'm not going to tighten down the tailstock just yet. I want to make sure that this piece is held really well in the chuck. And this one has 3 different areas to clamp down on it. So I'm going to go around each one twice just to be extra sure that this thing doesn't come flying out of the chuck. Which also, how would I know that that's even a possibility? It is. All right, so now I'm going to bring it up lightly, do a test spin, turn the lathe on, and tighten down the tailstock just a little bit more to make sure that it's grabbing. All right, so this one, again, I'm going to use the roughing gouge. And essentially, we're going to be turning what is a finial, but a thick finial. All right, so I'm going to bring this down to round, and then I'm going to do some shaping. So now that it's round, I can move my tool rest a little bit closer. Don't follow my example, guys. I'm going to take my spindle gouge, which I have now found again, and I'm going to do a little bit of shaping on the end here. Have I seen Zac's footwear? I don't know. What is Zac's footwear? I'm really close to the tailstock here on this end, and I don't want to get way too close. Let me adjust this so you can see it a little bit better on center. Okay. I'm not going to get way too close because I still want it to be able to hold on to this piece, but I am going to work on shaping a little bit. And I'm going to do a relatively simple form because I know if I go too elaborate, I'm going to run out of time because I know me and I know my level of perfectionism. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We need to make something like this. Okay. This has a little tenon that's going to go into our scoop. This is the other one. It's going to go into our scoop. And when you create that tenon, it's a good idea to have this other piece behind it that backs the material so that the scoop has something to run into and stop on. And that way you also know how long to make this little guy. All right. It also creates a larger glue surface. So all I need is a little tenon right at the end of this that's then rounded over. So in order to be able to round it over, I need to take the tailstock away. But I'm going to come as close as I feel comfortable getting into this little area before I remove the tailstock. Okay, so I'm going to switch back over to my detail gouge and hope that I don't screw everything up. And this is why I love my detail gouge. It gets into these really nice sharp areas without any problem because I don't have a whole lot of material back here, and this is at such a sharp angle that I can get into up to that angle. So I can kind of eyeball the approximate diameter of that tenon that it needs to be. But when I get close to it, I am going to start to measure. Okay, I don't think I'm quite there yet. This is where it's like really need to be careful here. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to remove a little bit more of that material. I'm actually going to remove just about all of that material. Okay, so now we are unsupported on the end, which is what I want. Because as long as you get most of it with the material supported, you should be good. So now I can remove the tool rest and I can test it. So I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to check it. And it looks a little thick still. So it's still a little bit too thick, but if I leave it on and have the hole of the scoop kind of burnish the end here, that leaves a little mark there. And I know that it's thin enough, at least right there. And I just need to get the rest of it down to that diameter. So again, it's unsupported now. And I just need to take it down just enough so it'll fit. And then I might need to adjust the curve there and bring it in so that I don't have the curve coming so far into the inside of the scoop. Ha. All right, we're good. Let's see, you can see it on the end view. Let me see if I can adjust it a little bit. Well, that didn't help much. Okay, so you can see it on the end. It comes in a little bit too far, so you can still see that even though you're looking at this end of it. Shouldn't be able to do that. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of that off and hope that I don't completely screw everything up. Isn't that always the hope? It's just like you're hoping it works really well, but you're really just hoping that it works at all. Okay, that's much better. And there's actually a tiny little bit right here that's keeping it from seating properly. And I'm just going to remove a little bit more there so that it gets right up into the face of that stopper piece. And again, it's just a matter of checking and double checking and testing and making sure everything works really well. Okay, so I'm going to take that off. This face is wonderful and I'm happy with that, but now it's time to work my way from the end toward the base. All right, so again, I'm going to keep with my detail gouge, and I'm just going to make this little piece a little bit smaller because I don't like how big it is. And after I'm done with this cut right here on the edge, and I kind of fade that into the rest of it, I'm going to switch back over to my spindle gouge rather than my detail gouge. And I'm going to keep working my way in. And you want to work in increments, small increments. Like this part is basically finished. If you want to sand it at this point, sand it now before you get more of the middle area and further down a lot thinner, because otherwise it's going to start to chatter and rattle and again scream at you. So I'm just working very slowly from the tip to the base. Okay. And I'm trying to make a pleasing curve as I go. All right, and like I said, I'm going to make this one relatively simple. I could make a more complex one, but I know if I try to do that, I am going to definitely run out of time. I might give you a little detail on the end, but that's about it. So again, I'm going for a pleasing curve. I need to stretch it out a little bit farther than I have it. And right now I'm cutting into the grain. I should be cutting down the grain, or I'm cutting up into the grain, like so. If you start at the top of the grain and work your way into it, it's going to give you a much better cut, but I'm just trying to follow this curve at this point. Does anybody have any questions? It's okay when you come to Oh yeah. So the next turner that's up is Cameron Porter. Is that right? Cammy's Garage. I'm excited because when he starts, then I can finally relax because I don't have to worry about my own demo. So I'm actually really excited for him to start. And let me see. All right, so I'm done with this area. I'm basically done with this area. Now, once I get into this and I want to start turning away a little bit more material, I can actually use one of my rubber chuckies. So this is one of Don Doyle's whatever chuckies, and it simply threads onto my tailstock or my live center. So it's got a matching thread pattern, and I can just thread it right on. And it's a soft material. It's not hard, but it's a harder metal, or not metal, rubber. So it cushions it and supports it. And now I don't have to worry about it not being supported anymore. And I can go back in and take away a lot more material than I thought I would be able to later. And I'm actually going back to my roughing gouge. I know this seems kind of backwards, but my roughing gouge actually gets a really nice finish cut because, again, I sharpen it really regularly. So I'm just going to create a nice taper. This area right here is still a little thick, so I'm going to take that down a little bit, make it blend a little bit better up to that sort of flick out at the end. All right, so now going back, we've got to figure out how the rest of the shape is going to be. I'm going to move my camera again so you can see it a little bit better. So we've got kind of this flare from flaring out at the end here, kind of coming in a really shallow cove and then sort of tapering out in sort of straight, but also kind of curved, soft, really, really soft curve all the way through. So I don't want that one. I want this one. So I'm just going to bring it in and make it a nice soft end there. But before I do that, I want to sand again. And I'm sanding just to kind of even out any of those inconsistencies that I might have had, and well, also to sand. Now I am going to show you some of the other examples. Now this is like the simplest one that I am okay doing. A lot of the ones that I do are a lot more elaborate in their form and added designs, but I like this. It's nice to hold. It's got a nice hand feel. So I'm going to sand this a little bit better than I sanded the scoop. So I'm actually bringing it up to 320 as well. So make sure I don't modify this little sweeping curve a little too much. Sometimes I can accidentally round over that point, but because I've got the rubber chucky kind of holding the end of it, it doesn't do anything that I don't want it to do. So that's really nice. All right, I'm going to bring this back up, and I'm going to keep working my way down to a finished roundy bottom. Now, you can go in at this point or before, and you can start you can make some details on there, like you can burn a couple lines into the handle, some people like that. Or you can make some beads and coves and make it as elaborate and beautiful as you want. For the sake of the demo and for the sake of minimalism, I just want to keep it pretty simple. So again, just like we did with the scoop, make sure after you turn away more of that material and you have more of those sanding or turning marks, that unless you make a perfect bead right off the tool, you want to get rid of those with some sandpaper. And I think I've gotten most of it. And the end would be fine just to sand by hand right at the very tip there. But I want to get as much of it as I can. And I would normally say, like, don't sand with the tool rest up, but I'm keeping a relatively good breakaway grip. So if the material does grab my sandpaper, it's not going to suck my hand in because I'm holding it basically by 2 fingers on each side. All right. Okay, all right, same process again. I just want to work my way down. Right now we're down to about a 1/16 of an inch down at the bottom there. And tool control, basically don't breathe. And at this point, I'm actually going to remove the tailstock, so that's still supported. You can see it kind of wiggles if I press on it. Now I'm one-handed holding my tool, resting it kind of in my side, and part it off the rest of the way. Ta-da! All right. I didn't just drop 2 of my tools. I'm going to stop that now. I'm going to bring up a piece of paper so that I've got a clean work surface and so that you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, so we've got our scoop, the bowl part and the handle part. Wow, look at that. Those are so nice. And they assemble nicely. Ooh, ooh, ah. I'm going to clear out a little chip that's there. And if you're going to finish these, I would put a sanding sealer on it before you apply whatever finish. That way it actually seals the grain and it doesn't waste all of your finish on it. But the one that I showed you before is finished with a CA finish. And it's the whole bowl is finished with CA, the whole handle is finished with CA, and then you use just a dot of medium CA to glue the handle into the bowl. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just not going to finish it. So this will be my example demo piece that everybody gets to feel and touch when I go around to my different demos that I do. So how much time do I have left? Oh, I got about 17 minutes. This is awesome. Yay! Okay, so then I can actually show you the other examples that I did, and I can show you some of the sanding sealers on some of the really nice ones with super good grain. All right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for my medium CA glue. Okay, so I like these tips, because it gives me the ability to actually go into a smaller space, but they get clogged up really fast. So I'm just going to take that off. And what I'm going to do is drop my handle, because that's just how I roll. And I'm just going to put a dot of medium right into that inside wall. And I'm going to kind of try to see if I can make it roll around all the way around the edge. I might have to apply another dot on the opposite side. And again, I'm not trying to get it on the outside of the scoop, or, okay, that might have been way too much. Or the inside. Looks like I'm finishing this with CA. And then, oh, hold up. I'm actually going to remove some of that now. I put way too much in there, because I know what's going to happen when I put the handle in there. It's just going to go everywhere. Okay, it went everywhere anyways. We're all good. All right, so then we're going to put the handle in. Before you let it cure, make sure you know the orientation that you want so that it doesn't sit off crooked. I like the same orientation sometimes, but yeah, I'll go with the same orientation so that we can see kind of these eyes on the bowl part and the handle. And I'm just going to spray it with a bit of accelerator and hope that I am holding it straight. And there it is. Wow. Look at that. What a cute little scoop. And like I said, it does have a nice little hand feel to it. It's got a good weight to it there. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple more examples, and then, I don't know, maybe we'll be able to show you some sweet grain popping action, because I turned one yesterday out of figured wood. All right, so this is the exact same handle design, a little bit of a deeper scoop. I also haven't assembled that one, so it's got a different look to it. That one, I really enjoy that one. It's just cute. I have no idea what I would scoop with that. This one might be a little bit more than a tablespoon. They might be good coffee scoops. Although I really like the handle on this one, and I'm actually going to show you this grain popping. Let me clear off my camera lens real quick. It looks like some static has caused it to go unclear. All right, so got some really nice grain in this one. This is some figured walnut with maple body. Again, I really like that contrast. You don't want to put too much figure in an individual piece, but this is really nice. And it's just sanded. It's not finished or anything yet. Again, with the very simple form here. This is sapwood walnut. That's why it's only slightly darker than the maple. This one is Purple Heart, and again, some sapwood walnut, so it's not super dark. And then I really like this one. This is the third one that I did yesterday. It's with a very decorative handle here. So I call this type of finial my finger bone finials, because it looks like you've got like first bone, second bone, third bone, and the knuckles in between. So I really like doing these. I have a lot of fun with these. I have not made a scoop out of skateboard before, but my friend out in Arizona, James Beeman, actually made one out of skateboard after I gave him one of the blanks. So he was pretty thrilled about it. It looked awesome. So I'm probably going to make one out of skateboards at some point, but not yet. Not just yet. All right, so what I want to do real quick so that you can see kind of the ooh-ah moment is I'm going to apply some sanding sealer. Now, this is just, what is it? Zinsser oil wax-free sanding sealer with denatured alcohol. And I'm going to apply it with a little shop towel that I have cut up into 12 pieces per towel. That's also the same towel I use to apply CA. So it's really easy. I folded in 6 parts. And I'm just going to apply some to this one because this is the most exciting. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh. Okay, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Wow. And because it's cut with the denatured alcohol, it dries really quickly. So like it's already pretty much dry to the touch. And it doesn't stay tacky, not really. But you can easily apply a couple coats in just a few minutes. Again, make sure you're getting into all of those little spaces. That's nice. And again, this is some figured walnut. This is some boring walnut. Still looks nice though. Not too flashy. This one I've been waiting for. But again, it's just maple, so it's not going to do very much, except for that little knot area in there. Okay, give me your opinion. Should I put the knot on top or off to one side? Because if I use the same kind of rule that I did for the one that I just turned and assembled, then I would put it off to the side, but I kind of like it on top. Thank you, guys. All right, if you have opinions, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. All right, so let me see. Let me go back to my me view. Oh my God, I have 141 people watching. That's crazy. That's nutso. Okay, all right. So there you have it. Finished scoop. It's done. It is ready to scoop things. I'm not sure what. Probably coffee. Who knows? I need a bigger scoop if it's going to scoop my coffee. You guys know. All right. So, okay. All right. A lot of people are saying on top. Good choice. That's what I was thinking too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like, I really want to do more demos like this and more YouTube lives. So if you're interested, subscribe, I guess. I don't usually tell people to subscribe, but I'm hoping that I am going to be doing some more YouTube lives like this. Let me know what you want to see. I would be more than happy to do some, even if it's just practice for my other demos that I usually have for clubs and organizations and things. I would love to do them. I always enjoy doing them. I started off just slightly nervous, but then everything was fine anyways. Finials and handles like this, I swear, these are the things that make me the most nervous because there is the most chance of failure. Okay, any one of those cuts that I made, if I had a catch, it would have destroyed the thing. Okay, so I'm really glad that that didn't happen. I'm really glad that so many people logged on to watch. I'm super excited about it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And then our next demo that's coming up right after me, it's in the description. If somebody else could put it in the description, thank you so much, Jamie, is Cammy's Garage. So he should be starting in about 8 minutes. And please go and check him out. And again, thank you so much to Carl and Jamie for setting this whole thing up and then inviting me to be part of it. I'm really excited. Can you tell? I really am. Okay. If I can hang out for a few more minutes until 1, just to figure, well, 1 my time, in case anybody has any questions or suggestions or anything, and enjoy the rest of the day of the Virtual Crafts Festival. I'm just going to hang out. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're all awesome. Hold on, I just saw a comment, a nice good one that made my heart get bigger. James Garwood. Oh, a 6-year-old watching with you? That's amazing. Okay, all right, that's gonna be awesome. Please, James, tell me show me how it turns out. I would love to see. You can see, again, my really bad examples of scoops, like the first things, the genesis, the beginning of my wood turning experience over 25 years ago. So it's okay. I'm still really proud of these. They're going to be something that I cherish forever, and I probably pass down to my eventual children, and then they'll wonder what the heck is wrong with mommy. Who knows? Why did she save this thing? What a weirdo. Thanks, Carl. Oh, thank you, Ruben Woodcraft. If you guys are interested, I have a podcast that you can listen to. It's called You Made That, where I'm on with Bob Blandford and Michael DeLauder, and we talk about wood turning and making and all of the things we make and what we use and all that stuff. So it's another maker podcast. I know that there's already a lot of them out there, but we wanted to get together and just share our opinion and what we do and how we do it. And my obsession over the dinosaurs that you guys can see in my background. I've actually got 2 of them back there. Good fun project that may not be stolen by my granddaughter, unlike the wizard gnome that wasn't the lathe before she wanted to pinch it. That's funny. That's hilarious. That's another demo that I do. I don't know if you saw that one from me. I know Nick Zametti had another similar one. Hi, Macy. Is Macy your 6-year-old? Oh my gosh. Hi, Macy. Oh, good. Okay, I'm really excited. Thank you guys for these comments. It looks like a lot of people are going to be trying this process out pretty soon. And like I used, what was it? 3 tools? 4 tools? I used spindle gouge, spindle rough and gouge, detail gouge, but the detail gouge honestly isn't necessary if you have your spindle gouge sharpened really well. And the hollowing tool. And honestly, you can do hollowing with a spindle tool too. So if you really had to have a limited amount of tools, you could do it with a spindle gouge. And that's it. You could do the whole thing with a spindle gouge, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm glad everybody really liked it. You guys are awesome. Wait, hold up. What was your dad joke? Hold on, I want to see. Oh, JP just commented, if Cameron can't go live due to power issues, Wayne the wood turner is on backup. I didn't see the dad joke. I want to see the dad joke. You guys know what my favorite dad joke is? And it's the one that I always do on the first day of school. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. Oh, I know, it's terrible. Oh my God. Why can't you date Kate and Edith at the same time? Because you can't have your Kate and Edith too. That's bad. But it's a good bad. It's a bad dad bad. Thank you, W. Bradburn. I appreciate that. Oh, Jamie, what's up? See, I am very enthusiastic about dad jokes and wood turning. And making random legged things. You want to see some of my legged things? I'm hoping at one point to make a scoop that has spikes on the handle so you don't want to pick it up. This is, for those that are still watching, my legged card holder. Ooh. The legs are all turned. I think they're turned in one piece, cut apart, glued back together, splined, sanded, and assembled into this amazing card holder. But the problem, thank you, Mark the Gentleman Woodturner. The problem is that every time I go to a show and I have my pieces on display and then I have my card holder on display, everybody wants to buy the card holder. I was like, I need that. Go away. Buy another thing with legs. Leave me alone. And hey, Carl and Jamie, I hope you don't mind if I promote the other event that's coming up next weekend. Would that be okay? Or next week? Is that okay? Is that okay? Can I tell everybody? Can I promote everything? Can I do it? Answer me. Tell me. Can I do it? Can I promote it? Can I do the other event? There's going to be so many makers. Can I tell everybody? Can I do it? Can I? Answer me. I'm going to hold off until I get administrative approval. Okay. All right. Carl said yes. All right. So if you want even more woodworking and wood turning and awesome makers and stuff, next week, I think that he extended it to start on the 22nd, but I know that it runs between the 24th and the 26th. The Wood Turners Worldwide online symposium. Go to woodturnersworldwide.com and you will find a giant list. Like, I think there's like 40 demonstrators. I'm one of them. I'm going to be doing 2 demos, very similar to this, except for they have a lot more information. They're really like a 2.5-hour project, all compact into 1 hour. So there's a voiceover. So go check that out, Woodturners Worldwide Online Symposium or woodturnersworldwide.com. And you can get a discount. If you can get a discount if you use my name at checkout on the registration. But yeah, you get $10 off if you want to do that. And it's a full like 3-day event, possibly up to 5. I heard somebody say that it was extended, but I haven't heard that. And there's like 40 demonstrations. It's going to be great. Everyone's going to be awesome. It's going to be so exciting. And I'll be there to answer all the questions that you need during my demo. So I'll have 2, the walking mushrooms and skateboard glue ups with 3 different projects being turned from them. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. I will see you later. I'm going to sign off. It's 1 o'clock. Go see Cammy's garage. He's going to do an awesome demo. I'm excited to actually sit down and relax now and watch the same thing. Okay, bye.